Yo, 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 what's up, everybody? High energy, like I said, let's go. We're so excited to be here for another NFT Art Talk Live. We're here daily, Monday through Friday in the morning, talking about news and hot topics, and in the afternoon, talking about two artists and art that inspires us and stories that inspire us. We want to welcome you all to our community of acceptance and celebration, trying to find new ways to experience this art, music, fashion, culture, metaverse, multiverse, vibes, feelings, whatever it may be. We're really excited today to introduce you all, if you haven't met this amazing artist, Arabella. And if you know us, my name's Moshe, aka DJ Fetus. This is Karthik NFTs in all the places. Let's just dive in. Usually there's so much more. We're asking, support us, do this, do that. I want to get in. I'm really excited about this interview today. How are we doing? How are you doing?
Oh, hanging in there.
All right. All right. Hey, that's all that we need. You know,
I'm glad to be doing this. So yeah.
that's where we're, you know, sometimes I know all of our stories have their own vibes, but and challenges, but you know, sometimes I'm just happy to show up and be here. I'm not going to lie. I feel that same way. Today I feel super motivated and excited to be here with you and talking more about everything that you have going on. So tell us about yourself. Let's dive in. You know, where are you from? Like, what's your name? Like, just give us all the immediate details that I did not give, and then you know we have some questions. Yeah, who are you and why are you here again?
Who are you, person on the TV? So I'm Arabella Proffer. I'm an artist, photographer, indie label co-founder, writer, person, and NFT artist, though just artist is fine sometimes, I like to say. Though sometimes I say NFT artists and people not in the NFT space, they're like, oh, that's so interesting. What is that? Because they think you must do something different.
Yeah.
But yeah, I grew up in Ann Arbor, Michigan, home to Iggy Pop and the Stooges, and that kind of colored my life a lot there, actually, if it wasn't for the academic parents. But yeah, I actually started doing art, and it was decided for me kind of by my family that I would be an artist by the time I was 4. Because I was already doing work that was like savant level, like doing like a landscape in the iris of the eye, things like that. And they were like, oh, she's a genius and she's going to be. My parents are geniuses. I am not a genius. I didn't inherit it. But so it kind of like that and going to film school, like I decided I was going to do that by the time I was 12. So that's a little unusual, I think. But, you know, most people don't know what they want to do even when they're 40. And I knew then. So definitely had an agenda. And I was really, really into punk and goth fashion at the same time. So I, you know, was like this little punk rocker art chick back in the 90s, you know, and like, I don't know, like the fashion for punk for me is interesting because it's such a self-destructive movement that was supposed to only be around a little bit, and like it never went away. And it was like the opposite effect of what they wanted, really. But it's like one of the more original things we've had in fashion in the 20th century. So and it's just really fun to me that like goth and punk fashion is now like high fashion, or that people don't understand that when I was in high school, you couldn't just go online and get the clothes that you wanted. Like you had to go and ask your mom to take you to that other town that had that store that might have had like some spike collars and maybe had some fishnets or manic panic, but like you weren't sure if they would have it or not. So like people don't know like the lengths we went to.
Yes.
And then we all got beat up and made fun of for it on top of it.
Right.
Never made fun of for it. I did all this for all of you youngsters. I was one of the people who got beat up. I asked my mom to take me, did that all for you. But so I also am really into Baroque And well, really just like, yeah, any portraiture from like the Renaissance to the Baroque period, I'm just been fascinated with. And I kind of decided to combine the two. And it got me thinking, because like, you know, manic panic hair dye does cost a lot of money, and spike collars do cost money. And if this was like Elizabethan times, if you had a mohawk, like that would have meant you were rich, you know? And mostly aristocrats get their portraits painted. So what did I do? I made a whole book of it.
Oh.
These are all paintings, about 70 of them. And I wrote fucking biographies for every single one of them.
That is so tight.
So you can get that on Amazon. It is out of print, I believe, but you can still find it. National Portrait Gallery.
Yeah, what's it called? The Natural Portrait Gallery of Kessa?
Or just look up The Art of Arabella Proffer. Sorry, everyone's seeing my armpits there.
Nobody cares about that.
But so that for the longest time was like the punk chicks with the, you know, that kind of style of portraiture was like my thing. And when I went to art school, that was not very popular at all. I went to CalArts for animation and for art, but like if you were an animator, you only got a cubicle, but if you were in the art department, you got a whole studio. So I was like, I'm going to go for the fine art degree, but I'll take all the animation classes. So that's what I did. And like they were really into theory and installation art, and I did some video art while I was there, but they were just like paintings dead, and all this stuff. And so it's really funny to me now that figurative painting and portraiture is like super hot in the art market, because I'm like, nah.
I've been doing this.
Yeah. Well, that was the thing. So I would have these shows at CalArts and like get ripped apart in critiques, but then I would be selling them to staff at CalArts and even to some professors in different departments. And it was like kind of a big deal. Like I sold a painting to Jules Engel, who, you know, created all the backdrop, the paintings for Bambi, like all the landscape paintings. And like, he did a bunch of Disney movies, but like, you know, so I was getting shit for this while I was in art school, but then I discovered Juxtapose magazine. And that like changed everything for me, because I didn't know, and I was living in LA, but like I didn't know that there were art galleries or like guerrilla art galleries that were showing this kind of work. Like people criticize it for being too illustrative, I guess, and that's kind of where I fell in. And at the time it was being called lowbrow art, but it's now being called pop surrealist art. So that was like the genre that I was falling into, because then all these artists became my friends and we would show together a lot. And that's really what I did from like 2000 to 2010. And like while I was doing that, I also started a record label with my husband called Elephant Stone Records. And it's mostly like shoegaze and like new psychedelia kind of music. So we were doing that. And then I also was working at an art gallery called Herbert Palmer Gallery. And that was the best art history experience I could have ever had, better than any school, because Herbert was like 94 when I started working for him. he took naps a lot. And sometimes I would have to I would take shorthand notes, but it would be like him, like these guys were like old school art dealers. Like what people do today is not what they did back then. They're called art dealers for a reason. And I would be taking notes and he would be like, "Dear Mr. Gregory Peck, I would like to offer this Lee Mulliken painting to you at this price." You know, so I would do this all day. But it was an amazing art history experience, because he had stuff from everyone and he didn't have the best prices on them. Like I should have bought, I ended up buying a Gerald Lang print that has now gone up in value like 9,000% or something crazy. Like
wow.
I'll never sell it, but he had Robert Longo original drawings. I should have bought those when I was there. Oh my God. He had Franz Kupka. He had all kinds of like Lariana, of like Ukrainian and Russian artists that I actually knew who they were because my parents collect Ukrainian and Russian art. And so like working there was pretty amazing because I got to like handle all of this stuff. And then we would do art walks, and then like you never knew like what kind of celebrity would wander in, or like, you know, Ed Ruscha just wanders in and he's just like hanging out, you know, and it was just like amazing working there. But so yeah, like having Juxtaposed magazine and High Fructose, and then all these websites popping up promoting the kind of art that I do, that I guess you could still say is pop surrealist. You know, that was like, I don't know. I don't want to say like affirming to me, but I don't know. It was just kind of like showed everyone that was like giving me crap for 4 years. Like, haha, see, I was right all along, you know, and people are always afraid of the new, but you know, now we're seeing that again with NFTs, people being afraid of the new, or like anytime I bring it up, people only are relying on what they hear in the media. And that is like, you know, Justin Bieber lost his ape, and, you know, some other douchebag got rich doing a false keystroke or whatever it is. And so like, I'm kind of, you know, back in that place of like defending what I'm doing and like just making my plans, hanging out with my crew, hanging out with people who know what's up. But like, you know, people, when everyone's like, oh, so what are you doing now though? Like, oh, I see you're involved in the NFTs, like da 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 da. And I'm just like, yeah. And I'm showing in Times Square, and they're like, wait, what? How, and I tell you, every text I sent that I said I'm showing in Times Square on a billboard, no one said congratulations. Every text was, how did that happen?
Come on, guys.
So I started like, so yeah, like, I mean, I started doing this in February. I knew nothing about NFTs in February, and now I'm showing on a billboard during NFT NYC, and I'm showing in 5 other exhibits. So like part of, you know, my whole deal with this is to help onboard more people and like bring them into the fold. So like, you know, I should have done that more with the, you know, everyone who was like, pop surrealism isn't real art, it's illustration. I should have dragged them to the galleries. I should have shown them how much, you know, sales were being made, but you couldn't because there was no, the internet wasn't what it is today. So now you can show people like, no, look, like this is actually happening. It's not just me bullshitting you. So.
Wow. Wow, what an amazing career you've had. Holy cow. Like, and touching so many different types of like creative forms of like you said, you had the label, you have all this art, you have like classical
We didn't even go
training.
into the bathroom book.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I'm known
for the Cleveland bathroom book mostly. Like I get recognized on the street for that. My CVS clerk was like, "Can I ask you something?" I said, "Yeah." She's like, "Are you the potty lady?" I was like, "Yeah."
Oh, now I'm looking it up. I did add a link to your the National Portrait Gallery. Tessa, I put that in the chat for anybody that wants to grab a copy of that.
And I do have other like newer books that I've done. So like actually, so I am terminal with cancer. I am dying, and I just found out on Friday that it's progressing and getting worse. So I don't really know what's going to happen to me. And like when I was during chemo and radiation, I felt really bad, but yet still I'm like, I can never sit still, or like, this is me on morphine. This is how hyper I am on morphine. So imagine me when I'm not on morphine. But I made a whole nother book while I was sick of like, this is mostly like work that was in group shows, or like maybe it got collected and no one saw it. And this is actually in a few library systems as well. But if you just look up my name, it comes up. Just Google me. Everyone just Google me. You'll find the things. So yeah, like preserving like any kind of, you know, stuff for posterity was like important to me at that point, because I was like, oh my God, you know, it got really bad for a while there. So so that's why NFTs are great, because people need to think about their digital legacies and like their digital dossier, so to speak. Like, because, you know, I mean, have you ever been on Facebook or Twitter and like seen someone pop up that is like passed away? And it's like a bummer, you know, and most people don't have like, so I have in my will, for instance, that my website stays like forever. But that my Instagram and like all my social accounts are supposed to be closed, and my email and things like that. But I have it in my will that my website should always stay up. And so, you know, if you buy a piece of my work, you're always going to have that too. So that's another reason NFTs are great.
Yeah, I mean, it does your digital legacy. I know we were talking about that a little before we got on air here. But yeah, I mean, it's like it is something to consider. You know, what happens, like, yeah, go on, please.
Oh, well, I was going to say, like, yeah, does your partner or do your parents or whoever like have your seed phrase in case you get hit by a bus? Like, I know that's a very like, you know, Jewish mother way of thinking of it. I don't know, but like, you might get hit by a bus. You never know. I mean, because my grandma said that all the time, but like, you know, it's just. It's true though. Like, does your boyfriend like have your, you know, you should have someone know at least where to find that stuff. Cause like, I mean, it is a nightmare. Like I've known people who've like had their spouse die and like all the utilities were in the spouse's name and it was online and they couldn't get in and they had to get the death certificate. And like, you know, you're going to have to do all that. So like, things to think about.
It is.
I don't know.
You know, it is. It's like, you know, always something that I don't know. I don't see it as, it's perspective. It's not necessarily sad. I mean, I know, like, I'm not saying that, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just stuff we have to think about, and people don't think about it until it's like this particular time makes you think about it. And so I appreciate your advice of being like, hey, think about this now. Don't wait to think about, you know, what happens to your NFTs when you pass on. Like, what happens to that lifetime? Like, I know that was something like you mentioned. Yeah, they're an asset. They're an
asset that you're supposed to pay taxes on it. You should treat it as such in your, either in your final wishes or at least have someone have access to it. Because as I told you a little bit before, like with regard to music, and I don't know what it would be like with music NFTs now, but like, you know, a friend of mine wrote that and performed that song Goodbye Horses, which has been covered and it's in video games and it's everywhere. And his best friend, he was taking to go sign her at the bank onto his BMI account. And then he died. And he actually had just gotten out of hospice and he still hadn't updated his will, even though he had just beat hospice. So like, you know, an extreme example, but like, you know, now every time the song is played, like she doesn't get the cut that she's owed. Like she doesn't get anything now because of a mistake he made. But yeah, if you're treating it as an asset and everyone says these are assets, you have to, you know, at least have someone know where they are or how to get to them.
Yeah. I totally agree. It's just a forward thinking. And as an artist, because all of our stuff is kind of digitally out there in the realm, that's like your life's work. So exactly what you're saying, if you have NFTs tied to a digital wallet or a seed phrase and all that, you want that life's work to kind of go to like the people you know around you and let them have kind of the benefits of it or what they want to do with it. So it's important to kind of think about those things like you're stating, actually. I had a quick question. So did you come from a family of artists that kind of pushed you in that route, or like when you were real young, did you just like know, like, I'm going to do art? And number two, like, I know you were talking about punk scene and all that. So were you more like musically influenced in the early parts of your age, or was it always kind of like a visual and a balance of the music and the visual?
So my parents are both they were both professors and writers. They started a company called Artist Publishers, which did mostly dissident Russian writers. There was actually a documentary being filmed, and they started filming it right as the war broke out. So I don't know what's happening with it, because one of the guys funding it has actually just been sanctioned. We'll see. But so, you know, they were around. I was raised around like writers, poets, artists, grew up, you know, like my first art opening was in New York City. I was 5 years old, and I just invited that artist to my show in NFT NYC. Like, we're still friends to this day. And you know, he's a Ukrainian artist, and I actually signed him up with a crypto wallet. He's 83, and now he brags to all of his friends, "Do you have a crypto wallet? I do." He doesn't use it. He just likes to tell everyone he has it. So for them, I think for my parents, like they thought even if I didn't become an artist or a musician, because I was like doing piano too, and viola, I think they figured I would become like a museum curator or like, you know, something like that. I mean, it really was kind of their worst nightmare if I became an accountant or like a regional sales rep at a feed company or something. I don't know. Like, I don't know. But yeah, they were very, they always surrounded by artistic people. In fact, like to the point where we're like normal people, they're the weird ones, you know. Normal. Yeah. So, and as far as the scene, like, no, I mean, the music is what drew me in first, for sure. And I went through variations. Like, I was a crust punk actually for quite a while. like, like I still have my vest. Yes. I still have my crusty punk vest.
Yes.
I should bust it out like at some point, just because, like, yeah, because I see crust punks now, and again, it just cracks me up because I'm like, this has not changed. And like, it's been around since '77. Nothing's changed. And like, crust punk was like a derivative of it, you know. And then there's like the peace punks, and then there's like, you know, straight edge, hardcore, this core, that core. Like, it created this monster almost when it was supposed to kill rock and roll. Like, the Sex Pistols were meant to kill rock and roll. Like, it was making fun of rock and roll, and then look what happened. So
yeah.
But I haven't started watching. I guess there's a new show on Hulu called Pistol, and it's about like Malcolm McLaren and the Sex Pistols. So I guess it's getting like half and half reviews. I'll have to check it out.
I haven't seen it.
Check that out now. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it definitely like so
punk.
I was a punk like in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and then in Orange County, because we moved to Orange County when I was 16. So like those two scenes were very different. That was the other thing. Like, one, I could actually sneak into clubs when I was younger, and the other I couldn't. So I had to rely on DIY space shows. So like, you know, it's interesting to see like, and when bands tour as well, like the different ways they interpret a genre, you know.
Right, where they are.
Was a combination of the music and the culture that attracted you to punk per se, or
definitely
did something like that reside within you that was speaking through that?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely, I mean, and it was the Sex Pistols that really did it for me. Now that I think about it, I'm trying to think. And Generation X, like I didn't hear newer punk bands until later. But yeah, it was definitely like I turned 12 and I went bad. What can I say? Something happened when I turned 12. I hit puberty. I discovered punk and I went bad.
Bad, which was so good.
Like, I'm the only one in my family with tattoos. Like, I'm the weird one in the family, you know, like I'm the weird one in the weird family. So yeah.
Then you must be excelling. Well, obviously you're excelling. Well, hey, we have a couple of people saying what's up, so I got to show them up here. Fab in the building. Your work is amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Bases is here hanging out with us. He loves your illustration. He got one yesterday. Kenny T says, what's up? Browse Mine gives you emojis that don't show up on my computer, but it's
they're
like
hearts.
They're the hearting smiley kissy face one. So I just wanted to make sure we shouted out everyone. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. Thank you so much, Arabella, for getting vulnerable and sharing your story with us. This is amazing. I did have a question that we like to ask everyone while they're here with us. What is it that inspires you? What is it that keeps you making this art? What is it that like, and I don't know, you can say now, you can say like over your life and career, like take it wherever you want it.
Oh, so yeah, and I didn't even get into the second half of my, like the last 10 years of my art stuff. Like I was just talking about up to 2010, man. But yeah, I don't know. It's some kind of animal in me. Like,
okay.
I mean, I did go like with the pandemic. And then when I first got diagnosed, I did go like an entire year and a half without painting, which was weird. And I do have trouble painting still. But then I got an iPad, and then I got Procreate, and I'm like really good at it. So I'm like addicted to Procreate now. So I'm loving doing that. And so I think I do like a portrait every few days now. And that's the other thing. It got me doing portraits again. So in 2010 was when I got diagnosed with cancer the first time. And I then got really angry because I found out that the treatment for my particular type of cancer hadn't changed since the 1400s. Because I got really into medical history. And there's a medical history museum in Cleveland. And then I started studying medical humanities. And so I did a show in San Francisco about like different medical procedures that are still done today, and like the I would say superstition around some of them too. And so I did like a whole show. It was called Ephemeral Antidotes, and they're like figurative pieces that, you know, like of amputees, or like one has syphilis and one has like a heart something or other. The history of syphilis, that was interesting. Also blamed on women, which is not true. But just like, you know, I got really into that to make myself feel better about what I was going through. And the other weird thing that happened was one day, before I got diagnosed with cancer one day I just decided I was like, I don't feel like painting people anymore. And so I just started doing these abstracts that came from like nowhere, and they kind of have like, you know, chakra and flower like effects to them. And I did a series of them, and I sent them to a show in Louisiana, and all 3 of them sold at the Baton Rouge Contemporary Arts Center. And I was like, oh, well, maybe I'll stick with this. And so I kept doing them, and they were really fun because I'm like, oh, wow, I don't have to make a person look like a person. It doesn't have any rules. Like, it can be abstract and do this and that. And so it was really just like the alchemy of the oil paint. So those are the abstracts that people see in my NFTs. I have on Ethereum and on Polygon. I have one series on OpenSea, and then I have one series on First Dibs. And like those got the greatest reception. People were like, oh, I think this is your true work. And I agree to a point. But then I, you know, looked at the MRIs and stuff after I got diagnosed, and all the tumors looked like that first painting. Like to a T.
Wow.
Same oval, 3 tentacles wandering through my, I have, like, if you look at the painting, it's like kind of fucked up. And then I sent it to my one surgeon too. And she was like, she never wrote me back ever since. She was so spooked. Because I was like, hey, you didn't write me back. She was like, yeah, that kind of weirded me out. Like, oh, okay. So I don't know if it's like some pseudo psychic something or other that I was painting what was already in my body, maybe. I don't know. But it was just weird that I just suddenly one day just decided I didn't want to paint people. So spooky.
I don't know. I mean, Karthik and I talk about this a lot because like when this comes back to the inspiration, right? To create the art like at the cadence that you're asked to as a professional artist. So like, oh, like you said, you're doing something every 2 days. Like you have to be inspired to do that. Something has to be telling you to do that. Some force that's almost undescribable, right? And like I know Karthik and I both believe like when you're tapped into that energy, it is the same energy of like someone that's prophetic or a psychic, or it's like a similar energy. Like the artist has to tap into a similar energy to create that. Like, so the fact that like you can, like I don't mean to be weird as well. Like I talked to Karthik about this a lot, but like, especially when we were like right in the heart of our band, when we were creating all the time, it was my focus. It was always on the front of my mind. Like, I swear I saw shows happen before they would happen. Like I would like dream about like the experience of being on a stage. And then like a month and a half later, I'd look over at Karthik. I'd be like, this is it. This is it. You know? And just I mean, I don't mean to be weird. I'm not trying
Oh,
to.
I dream about places all the time, and then I go there. It's
That's
gotten
what I'm
to the
saying.
point where it's normal for me. But you know, it's interesting you bring this up though, because before I got diagnosed with so this is my second bout, I don't know, bout of cancer. My second
you're
bout
fighting,
of cancer.
so
I
we'll call it a
got
bout.
in July of 2020. So before that, I had started to get really into like the visionary and transcendental art group from New Mexico. Like oh God, what's her name? I just got a book of hers. But there's like all those artists in the Southwest that were doing like the visionary art, and like visionary art's kind of coming back a little bit too. And like I was looking at my stuff thinking like, oh, I'm going to go bigger, and I'm going to like kind of tap into that. And so part of that was I was going to do this artist residency where you're like out in the middle of nowhere and it's like no Wi-Fi and you're cut off. And I think that would be great to do. I would still maybe like to do a residency like that, but so something like that would be interesting for sure. And also just changing the scale. I've never done something big like that, so I'm sure it would bring out, because I never plan out before I do the work. Like I don't sketch out anything. Color palettes, nothing like that. So it's always off the cuff. Oh, but so speaking of artist residencies and that, can I tell you, so right before the pandemic, I had applied with another artist friend of mine to do a residency out in northern Utah. And it was this tiny studio off the grid, nearest grocery store, anything is like an hour away. And the only thing they had was a satellite phone for emergencies. That's it. So that was the point of the residency. You go out for 2 weeks and you're cut off from the world and you know nothing. So we didn't get it. And we were like, meh. But if we had gotten it, it would have been right when the pandemic started. So can you imagine my friend and I driving down back to Las Vegas and there not being a soul there? That would have fucking freaked us out.
Yes,
oh my God.
Yeah.
Like,
what did we do?
Exactly. Like we would have no idea. Like, because we were talking about this, we're like, no, what? It was such a good thing we didn't get it, because if we had, like, that would have happened. We would have been out in the middle of nowhere. No one could have reached us. And a pandemic, like, it's totally like that movie 38 Days Later.
Yeah, seriously.
And it would have been like, because we were going to be flying in and out of Vegas because we were, you know, we didn't want to go through Mormon country. Long story, but yeah, it's like that would have been so, like, I mean, just even like driving up to the strip and like everything's
It's
like there's
gone.
no cars, no nothing.
Like, what happened? Wow. Yeah, I think God, I'm still thinking about that. That would be so funny. But
I made this great art. Look, where is everyone?
Yeah, you're so talented. I just want to say that. Sorry, I'm just pointing it right there in that direction. Like, it's so cool. I mean, even though that was just one little moment of what you just said, but like, I think it's clear. Like, you've been practicing this your whole life. Like you said, you started when you were 4. So like tapping into this energy where you paint things that are happening in your body and you see things that are happening. You've been honing that skill, like the ability not to sketch, not to use color palettes. Like, that is just like so cool, because you've honed this skill of like true improvisation. Like, you can like just imagine it and then try to like spit it out, you know? And I think it's clear in your art, like when we look at it. And I mean, I know Karthik and I have been like looking at all of your stuff, like, you know, even before this. Like, I think the way we met was like reviewing some of your stuff on the show just randomly, because we were like, this is so tight. And also, honestly, your journey with cancer, your attitude towards it, like, is so inspiring. Like, just for your fight, like, you're such an amazing fighter. And I just wanted to take a moment just to give you a shout out and like some praise, because like you're very inspiring on so many levels, not just like your fight with cancer, but like what you've accomplished in your life and how you did it, like against odds, being cool, being the weird one, like all of these things, I think is like, it's really cool and really inspiring. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you for having me and giving me a platform to talk and everything. Yeah. No, it's funny. Like, I mean, yeah, I started in NFTs like in February, knowing nothing. And then I was approached by Consensus Mesh to consult for their new platform called Tree Trunk, which is launching tomorrow, actually. And so I was like, they wanted my experience from the gallery world, because like I had tested on Unity back in the day. Like I had tested on Sotheby's, God, even like 20 years ago when they were just starting to do online auctions. So I was like, well, I better make an NFT so I can understand how all this works. And then so my stepdad knew more than I did, and he actually helped onboard me. But no one told me anything. Like, it was a really quick onboard. So I did get scammed twice. I do have to say, though, the one was really good. He like mirrored the OpenSea help thing. And I mean, I was like day 4 in it, you know.
Right.
He stole $100, not a big deal. And then I bought a fake NFT, but the guy ended up giving me another one because he felt bad. So, but it's like, so my onboarding experience was like really quick to like get me just to have something for, you know, consensus. And so I didn't get like any of the like histrionics or, you know, safety and all that stuff and like what you can do. And so part of my whole thing is like to help onboard especially more women artists into the space. And so like that's why I'm selling like for $1 like a PDF download for people if they want to get into NFTs. That's literally just like 2 pages of like street talk about how to do it. That's what I discovered. A lot of people are scared of it because of the terminology. And so then I wrote an article for the Craft Industry Alliance, and someone else just like, you know, all these protocols, you know, all these commands, they just have stupid names.
Yeah,
like,
right. And what does it mean? And people are like afraid to ask, I feel like, because that's usually how new people are met. But, you know, we'll echo the same thing. Like, we're here to help for anybody that has questions. Twitter Spaces are a fantastic outlet where you can ask questions. You don't have to feel dumb, and nobody knows who you are anyway. So if you feel dumb, you can just
Twitter Spaces.
Back out. Yeah, us too. We're like madly in love with it. I did have a question for you from the crowd. So I'm going to go ahead and get that up here. What are some of the favorite works you have created?
I
think we can go all over. It doesn't have to just be NFTs. You have any of your works.
It depends on the day. And you know, like your latest is usually your favorite. Sometimes, not always. Let's see. I actually have a mini print of one. This one is called Manor House.
Oh, cool.
And in real life, this is like a 30 by 30 inch. And this is still one of my favorites.
I like
my biomorphic series. Oh yeah, so that's what I call these works, is the biomorphic works. And actually another one of my favorites, and I'm so glad someone from the Akron Museum bought this one.
I see. Yeah,
it's badass.
And then some of my newest favorites, I haven't yet to show anyone. And they're going to get minted on Foundation sometime this summer.
Awesome. I can't wait for that. We'll be keeping our eye out for that for sure.
Oh, and I like this one too.
Oh, I like that.
This is a sticker, by the way. And if you see me at NFT NYC, I have stickers for people. And these are big, good stickers, not the stupid little stickers. You're getting good stickers.
Yeah, you were like, you were so generous with us. You were like, hey, we can give away some stickers and shirts. And we were like, I don't know how to do that on the show.
Yeah.
We haven't really done that. But so maybe we were talking about maybe being able to do some giveaways at our 100 subscriber party coming up sometime soon. But Karthik,
I won't tease people with the shirt, but if we can figure that out later.
Yeah, I had a quick question. Well, first, much respect. Arabella's a perfect example of an artist that's learned a lot about their craft and knows how to like expose it out there in multiple facets. I almost say like an artist like you has kind of mastered a language in a sense, right? Because everything you're creating is kind of displaying to someone else to kind of give them communication. What I wanted to ask about that, I know you were able to study like all these artists, right? And different, like working for these galleries and working for that older man, you said, did you take like all that kind of knowledge, what you saw, kind of the feelings that came out from that? And then when you create, do you like internalize that into like what you're going to create today? kind of like using those elements, or is it totally full flow through because you just kind of like, you know what that is within you, and then when you're creating these pieces, it kind of comes out like, that's what I'm feeling right now?
I mean, yeah, I don't take too much elements from stuff anymore as I used to when I was younger. Like I was a huge Tamara de Lipinska fan from the age of like 14. So, and I still do actually, with my portraits, do some things like the way she did. I won't like certain things with the fingernails or like the eyelashes, the way that she did them. I still do that way because like that was like kind of how I learned, was like emulating her. But I would never like I never showed those pieces because I felt weird because like they were so clearly like based on her, you know. There are still some elements of her that I put in that no one would ever be able to trace. Like it's become mine now. And there's definitely, yeah, there's some pieces from Albrecht Dürer, depending on if I'm doing like a leafy pattern, that the way he used to do leaves and like a certain curl, like I will take, you know, like I still have that and it's mine now, you know. So there's definitely through art history, been little things I've picked with certain artists that I've been a fan of, and certain artists, you know, look nothing like the work that I do. So, but yeah, I definitely borrow like a little bit, but not the way a young artist does. Like now it's definitely like I got my own thing. And it's funny too, because like I will sometimes see those magazines, like those art magazines that show like the artist, like their actual palette and how they mixed it and like step 1, step 2, and then you do this and like it looks Greek to me because I'm like, no, you just mix that and you mix that and you make, you know, like if you, my palette's a mess, but it gets the job done, you know, like I'm not into the process. I know a lot of artists are, they're really into process and I am not. I am like, I want this fucking thing done now because I need to go to the next one.
Yes.
Like that's how I feel. Like I am not, I'm like, done? Is it done? Okay. Cause I'm already thinking about the next one.
Yeah. And it feels like sometimes it's more about just capturing like whatever I'm feeling. At least for me, it's more about like what I'm feeling in this moment. And then I'm moving on to the next moment. That's kind of the way I look at my life too. So my art only emulates that. So I think I can relate. Cool. Should we dive into some of the stuff that's online real quick and like go through some of your art? Is that cool? Okay, let's do that. So I'm going to share some screens with everyone so we can see some of this stuff. And I'm going to remind everyone that's with us on YouTube right now that every link that we're about to show here is in the description below. So if you're on Twitter, come over to YouTube already. This is where the party's at. You can chat with us. We can bring your chats up. You can ask questions. But also, if you're interested in seeing any of the stuff that we're seeing or doing stuff like this, where you can you can retweet people's posts, you can follow them on Twitter or wherever, please go down to those links in the description and click and join Arabella's awesome community. And then, so we have her Twitter down there. That's kind of how we met. And then we have this, which links to looks like almost everything you got going. We pulled up a couple links to look at. So I'll leave this open. If we want to come back to something that we didn't pull up, we can do that. But I did want to make sure everybody knew that was down there. Go support artists. We pulled up Object because we're kind of fans of Tezos also. We both have art on it, and your OpenSea. But I didn't know if there's...
I minted some new things in black glitter because I'm back on my bullshit. I can't stop minting.
Yes, please. I know I came up on Bummer Summer yesterday, so I really liked this one.
That was in tribute to summer 2020 because that was the Bummer Summer of... Yeah.
Let's look at some of the new stuff. Wow, this is cool. Is there anything that you want me to pull up particularly? If my computer will,
Object, I don't know. Like,
how about just this one? Because I just saw it and it looks really cool. Well, my computer won't let me pull it up. So are these just all portraits? Is it the same lady?
It's the same lady. Yeah, it's the Beehive.
And all this is in Procreate?
Yeah.
This is so cool. I like the
Yeah, so I
expression on
did,
her face.
as most people can tell, I did used to teach fashion illustration to children. So
The expression on her face is really interesting in these ones. What was that? Is that intentional, or is it just kind of like, it looks kind of different than these other ones? She looks like she's kind of pondering off.
yeah, she doesn't have as much sass as the other one.
I really like your color palette too. Sorry, I'm just like consuming while I talk to you live on air, but you know.
Someone told me actually that this one she thought was looked a lot like Elle Fanning. And I think she's right.
Yeah.
So are these just these are the ones that you're doing like every couple days, or is that kind of in your OpenSea?
Oh, and then OpenSea Bright Beauties is a fun one because I got to animate the portraits and just like these really subtle ways.
I really love your art. Sorry, this is the portion of the show where I just start zoning out at art and suck at remembering that I need to
I'm
ask
taking
questions.
offers.
Yes. Okay, cool. So we're taking some offers on this. Oh, I see. Yeah, nice. I see the animation.
Yeah, so each one of these was an oil painting that was very small. Like I think the largest was 12 by 12. And then I just did some very slight animation to them just to kind of make them
Move around a bit. Which one's your favorite? Do you have a favorite?
I have two favorites. Pink Waves has always been a favorite, and Carmel. Pink Waves happened completely by accident. I was actually in the middle. Sometimes I like to prime my canvases with pink paint just because I'm psychotic. And I started doing this and I was like, oh, I'm just going to stop there. Like it was going to be something completely different. Put it that way.
She kind of looks like you.
And then Carmel is kind of a tribute to my favorite city, New Orleans.
I do. I love some New Orleans. I'm not going to lie about that.
I was going there so often. One year I went 4 times.
Purple and gold for you, LSU.
I like it. Yeah, I can see why it's New Orleans too, with like the glitter and then all the pomp and circumstance. I get it. I get it.
I'm more of a fan of Super Sunday and not Mardi Gras. And then actually Astropunk, the way that I animated her made me like it a lot more. Like it was almost like it was meant to be animated.
Man, sorry. The Black Unicorn and Veruca are just like screaming at me right now. I don't know why, but
so someone famous owns Veruca, and now I can't remember who it is. It's someone in New Orleans, though, actually.
Oh yeah, this is meant to be animated. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, like I was playing around and.
So, are you creating all this in Procreate?
No, these are oil paintings.
Oh, the animation and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
Are you using a program for the animation?
Oh yeah, I just use Video Leap. They have like a suite of animation tools, and I just use those.
I love it. So all these are offer situations. I like that. Somebody make an offer. But I do, it does look like you have some stuff here, even the stuff that was listed or sold. Like, I love that you allow your stuff to be affordable. Thank you.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like the only very expensive stuff is the Ornate Acids collection. And that's because you get a physical color pencil drawing that is matted, ready to frame. And for some reason it was a flop. No one wants physical art. I did have one person say, can I get one of those drawings and not get the NFT? And I was like, okay, yeah. So
sure, but why? Yeah, this is really cool though too. This looks like the one that you just showed us as one of your favorite works that you.
Yeah, done. And actually, I like this one a lot too. And you know what inspired the gold things is was actually like I was looking at pictures of Baroque candelabras.
Oh.
And just like how they twist and turn. And I was like, that's neat. I'm going to take that.
Yeah, I think this was
mine.
This was the collection that we reviewed on the show previously.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so each one of these does come with a physical piece of art, and you don't know what it's going to look like, but it's great, and it's ready to frame. It's matted. So if anyone wants to make offers on these, that's what you get.
I love the fruit and like kind of the classic vibe of these with like the fun kind of like biomorphic.
Yeah, I was kind of looking at a lot of like Dutch golden age still lifes when there was like a period where I went to the museum way too many times because I had like so many visitors in town. It was like disgusting, and I was like, but I love going to the museum, and I was just I really was into these Dutch golden life still lifes that they had, and I think that's kind of like, you know, what came out of it. So they're like tablescapes but not or landscapes but not. But they're kind of like, I don't know, shapes and signals being sent to me in some weird way.
I like that.
Men really love that one.
Yeah. I mean, it's a liberating photo. I'm not going to lie.
And that's totally what was not on my mind. There was one I did. I don't have a picture of it. Maybe I'll mint it someday, but it was in an art show, and this little girl came up to me and she goes, "I like your butterfly." I was like, "Thank you. It's a great butterfly, isn't it?" And then every other person who came up to me said, "Wow, that's a crazy uterus." Everyone thought it was a uterus except the little girl and me.
I love it. Hey, it's all in the art is in the eye of the beholder. Yeah. Yeah, your art is really amazing. Like you can tell that you've been trained. You can tell and that you trained yourself because doesn't necessarily, like it sounds like you're saying, it doesn't succumb to like one very specific thing. It's like the blend of your experience with like a lot of skill. And I mean, I know for me, I'm like a big colors, like I consume colors even before shapes a lot. And I just really think the way that you use colors is like really pro, you know, very cool, very like you get emotional context from the color, you know, and I think that that's really cool.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely drawn to certain ones more, and it's so funny because I hated the color pink when I was a child. I hated it. But like I think fuchsia or magenta has kind of like been it's like my unofficial branding color at this point because I feel like I use it a lot. Or I use it to mix a lot.
Fuchsia and magenta are very nice colors.
But they're not, but I think that they're like, they feel unique to you. That's what I think is cool. Like for me, I always start with blue. It's such a blue. It's like blue.
I start with whatever the newest paint was that I bought recently and I was excited to open. That's how unscientific I am about things. I'm like, look, it's pink. Let's play it. You know, I'm like a new shipment of Williamsburg paints came in. Let's play with them all, you know, in this commission that's due in 3 days.
Yes. Perfect.
Yes.
I had a quick question. Do you like all the artworks you make? Are there specific ones you just keep to yourself, or you give to other people, or ones you want to distribute out?
Well, so that was the thing when I got diagnosed. Is was like kind of giving out, or people were buying what they wanted because they knew it was like kind of their last chance. So this is another reason I'm doing NFTs is because I'm out of inventory because everyone bought stuff when they found out I was terminal. So hooray, NFTs. But that one conservatory, I have that. And certain ones, like my family has now, certain ones people have bought. But yeah, like conservatory I own. I think I still have Mood Swinger. And then there is also an organization in Cleveland called the Artist Archives of the Western Reserve. And part of their mission is to shepherd the estate of artists who've passed on, and as far as like their holdings, their inventory. And so like, they'll put them in catalogs, they'll place them in shows around the country, they'll have group shows with them in it. And so they collected me. And so they have, I think they have several paintings, and then they have a bunch of drawings and different ephemera, all my press, anything I've done. Like I did a 7-inch cover picture disc for Lil Bub's anniversary something or other. So it's like, you know, any kind of pop culture thing I've done like that. Gig posters they have. So they're kind of, you know, there's not many organizations that do that for artists. Like they're written by the Cleveland Foundation, and I'm sure most cities don't have an organization that's going to, like, you know, do that for every artist that passed away in their region. So I'm very lucky to be with them, and very lucky that they're holding on to several works and will like keep showing them for hundreds of years, hopefully. So
that is a great way to continue a legacy, and so cool that you agreed to participate in it too. Mm-hmm. What a blessing for them.
No, I'm in a very strange situation where, you know, I know most NFT artists don't have to think, they're not thinking about their legacies. They're not thinking about their digital dossier, or like, you know, making sure that like when they pass away, their, you know, accounts are shut down. Like they're not I have to think about these things though. So like, it's interesting, like, and that's how I came to NFTs, though, is like thinking about those things and just the technology. And that's the other reason I keep telling everyone, I'm like, you can say you don't like the art, but like this technology is going to be coming for you very soon. And, you know, you can keep saying you hate seeing it mentioned on Instagram, but Instagram's doing them now. So I'm sorry.
Yeah, right. And yeah, there is this inevitable future, because it's, you know, I think that's what attracted me to it specifically, was it was like, you know, I'm also like a different time of life for me, but at a time where I am thinking like, okay, what's my legacy? What happens after? What happens next? You know? So for me, it's like just the ability to just, yeah, like what the blockchain does to art, it allows us it gives us transparency. It allows me even to consider taking a song that I wrote and saying, here, wife, you have the legacy of this song now. And like, and actually it's tracked. We don't have to worry about BMI. We don't have to worry about any of this stuff. Like, here's my seed phrase, and now you're good to go. Like, this is yours now. And I just think, yeah, it's a very interesting time, and I agree with you. And your perspective on it is very unique, as you mentioned, but, you know, very much so appreciated. So,
I mean, I don't know how long I have to live. Like, they won't tell me, and I know they know, but they just won't tell me. But I'm still trying to learn new technology, because I don't want to be a Luddite. I used to be a Luddite. It got me nowhere. Okay. Like being a crabby Luddite because I was too cool for whatever, like it got me nowhere. Okay. So when people are like, oh, I don't want to learn this because it's a new technology I have to learn. And I'm like, yeah, you do have to learn it, because it's going to be coming for you. Like, and I don't know how long I'll be here, but I don't want to be left in the dust. Like, I could live another 2 years. I don't know. So like, if I can bother to learn it, you know, I feel like most people can, and they should at least try. Maybe they'll be inspired to try.
Yeah, but your message is so strong, Arabella. Like, you know, and heard, like, you don't have to know the day that you're going to die to know that you like what it takes to live right now, you know? And like, man, you're like, I just keep on hearing that in my head, like with every story you tell, every challenge, even before we got on air, like your challenges and just your approach. It's like, you don't need to know, you know, like you're just like doing what you need to do to be happy and to like fulfill your purpose. And that is very inspiring, even more so than like a physical piece of art, you know?
I have one question. I know you say like when you're creating the art, you like just create it at that moment. Is there a favorite part of that for you? Like, is it the actual touching of like, you know, the paintbrush on the art, or is it editing it out, or is it the completion of the art? Is there just some kind of perspective of that from your lens?
I think for the digital, it's drawing it out at first. And then completing it but then for like oil painting, it's like certain mixing of certain areas, or like if I have a breakthrough, like, oh, look, that's how I can do that thing. Because oil painting is interesting because you're always learning. Like, no matter how long you've been doing it, you could do it for 200 years and you'll still be learning it. So that's why I find it interesting that like people have like these really rigid processes for learning oil paint, because I'm like, man, I'm just gonna figure it out over here. You stick to your paint by numbers. I don't know what you're doing, but so oil painting is interesting that way. But as far as digital, I like the beginning, like trying to figure out the composition and then the finishing, because I already want to get to the next.
I love it.
And then one more thing, is there a specific style of music you listen to while you create, or is it just kind of what you're vibing to in that moment, or what you're listening to like passively, I guess, around you?
So it used to be the same album on loop forever. It was The Church, Priest Equals Aura. And then sometimes I would play like, oh God, words, make words work. Sort of like the Velvet Tin Mine kind of compilations, like 70s glam rock, because it's like really high energy. But lately I have discovered Amapiano music from South Africa, and I am really digging that. So I just like throw a YouTube mix of that on now. But sometimes it does call for silence.
Karthik and I are both like, oh, let me note all these things.
Right.
Like, we're both like
check it out.
frantically writing your inspirations.
Amapiano music is really great. But yeah, I think for certain times I like silence. But that's more like with the oil painting. And I actually know quite a few artists who prefer silence.
But I feel like I find myself like with music, I'll just like listen to, like when I know I want to create, I'll just listen to one type of music for like over and over, like kind of like you're saying, like on repeat, and then be like, okay, silence, let's see where this goes. But it's like a different than art. Like with art, I'm just constantly listening to the music the art's about to represent, you know. But
yeah, because I think the thing with the album on repeat is like you know what's coming, so it's like it's okay. It's not like changing your brainwave.
Yeah.
To like, oh, what was that? So I think that's the reason most people do something on loop, is like because it's predictable. It's not gonna like wreck your track that you're on. So yeah.
I know most of the artwork I make, I kind of make in silence. I make more music video art, but I know my favorite part is putting the music to it at the end of it, finding the piece of music to do it. So I'm always just curious how people create, you know.
I loved editing when I was doing video art. I mean, and I've done some music videos, and editing was like my favorite thing. And then I interned at a production company, and I saw how miserable they all were. And they all bitched about their job nonstop.
Right.
And I was like, oh, okay, maybe I won't do this for a living.
I think I'll do something else.
I actually have a friend who does it for a living, and she works on some really big movies. And I'm like, you know, so the other week I was like, hey, how's that job on blah, blah, blah? And she was like, it's a job.
Yeah, right.
Because it was like this big, exciting kids movie, you know, and she just had a kid, and I was like, isn't it great? And she's like, it's a job.
Yeah, I just had a kid. Okay, I'm not allowed to be happy. Yeah, I think also those editing jobs, like I always have so much respect, because you're like doing, again, like at least for me, what I've saw, you're like doing the same thing over and over again. You know, so you like watch like the same clip like 70,000 times. Yeah, exactly.
Like when you're editing your own art, it's fun. And so you think this is a fun thing. Maybe I'll do this for a living because this job is so fun. And then you see, no, you're editing other people's shit. Who then they want to edit it on top of your edits anyway. So it's like, oh, well, no wonder they hate their job. Yeah, I mean, I would go crazy too editing. So I did actually, I did have to do a film with someone, and he hired me to edit his film, and I sat with him, and it was like fine, but it was fine because I mostly let him take the driver's seat, you know. So
right, you're just the hand.
That's the other thing when people are like, oh, do you do a lot of collaborations? And I do, but I wouldn't make a habit of it just because I'm like such a control freak.
Hey, know yourself.
Well, also, you're creating pretty fast, and you're at that level. So I totally get that. I mean, I love to collaborate with people. It's like you got to be ready to collaborate now and ready to like get the stuff done. Because
like I did a really great one with an artist named Jen O'Mates, and we did like a sculpture, and it turned out great. and I would work with her again, but like making a habit of it with like different, it's just so hard. You never know. Like, and I'm such a like, come on, let's get it done person. So it's like being in a band. It's like why none of my bands like ever took off is because always one person was missing from practice. And I was the person who was the kitten wrangler, you know? Like I'm the one who's like texting people like, okay, when are we meeting next? Like, okay, what are next steps? Like I'm that, you know, so I don't know about you guys, but like, were you like the, you know, the team leader or like the group leader in school? Like, like group project.
Time, yeah.
And then
sounds
you're the
like
one...
we should be collaborating. That's what it sounds like.
What'd you play in your band?
Bass.
Real time.
See, it's just something that's innately built into us.
Do you know, I know so many fucking bass players and they're all awesome. I know so many bass players. And I don't know, I'll find the article for you, but it is a scientific fact that the bass player is the most important component of the band.
Yes.
Scientific fact.
I don't even need science. I already know
scientific
that.
fact we are written by bassist.
Yeah. Yeah, whatever. You can tell what role Karthik played in the band. No, Karthik was the lead singer and guitarist, and I'm the bass, and I did sing too. But yeah, it's funny. We can relate. Maybe we should be collaborating together. Sounds like we have a similar mentality.
Yeah.
But I wanted to talk about a few more of your stuff real quick up here. Some more of the links that we have down below in the description if you're with us on YouTube. This is your guide that you mentioned a moment ago. So I
made this because all my girlfriends on Instagram were like, what the hell are you doing? What is this? Blah, blah, blah. And like, oh, maybe I'll do one. And I was getting enough questions that I was like, I'm just going to put it in one place. And so, yeah, I'm just selling it for $1. It's a PDF download, and it's just my street talk telling you how to make NFTs. And just it has links and resources to the things how I learned, just like how I learned first what is blockchain, and then from there. So
cool. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm gonna have to check that out. And then also I wanted to talk about your fundraiser.
Yeah. Oh crap, and I need to update that. So yeah, I booked a trip that is my last hurrah trip to the Mediterranean and Africa. Going to see friends in Greece and in Italy, and then I'm going to Morocco for 2 weeks. Because I know I probably never will go back there ever again, and I'll never see those friends again. So yeah, I'm just still raising money just for that. And like, I'm on Medicaid, but that's it. And like, so aside from NFTs and my merch and my art, like my husband, he's my caretaker and I can't work. So it's like, yeah. And I hate asking for money for nothing. Like, that's the thing. Like, I always feel like I have to get, that's why I prefer when people buy like products, because like then they get something and I don't feel like a charity case. But, I know some people don't care. So it's fine. That's why my best friend made the page, not me.
Well, here's someone that doesn't give a shit. Right here next to you, your new friends. I want you guys, everybody here right now, I want you to support Arabella and her journey right now, because it's like we said, like, whether that's like going down to the links and donating your money or your time by like sharing a tweet or buying a piece of an NFT or anything like that. And it's not a charity case. It's because what you contribute to this scene, to us, to artists all around, is something that's like, and that you've clearly dedicated your life to since you were 4 years old, is something that's really challenging to do. And up until your very last moment here with us on this earth, I think you should be doing it. So I know I bought some of your art. I'm going to be donating to your GoFundMe now that I know that it's like for more beautiful experiences for you. I know Karthik will probably do the same, just knowing Karthik. And we want everybody out there to do it too. I took you off of the main screen for this moment right here because I want everyone to see my face. Because I don't think it's charity. Like, I think I know that you're an inspiration, and what you're doing is an inspiration, and like it has nothing to do with pity and everything to do with like you're hustling, like, and your attitude is amazing. Like, with everything that you're facing, like, coming here and sharing your story with us, everything that you're about to do at NYC NFT, this amazing, beautiful trip that you're about to go on. I know I was just blessed to go to the Mediterranean a lot, and I just spent some time in Africa a few years ago. It was an experience I will never forget, and it's something that you deserve. And so don't feel bad, and please keep doing what you're doing, because
oh, I will.
yeah, it speaks beyond.
I can't do anything else. Like if I didn't have this, you guys, seriously, and if I had not like gotten into NFTs, like I would be depression sleeping. Like probably, I don't know. Like I wouldn't be doing anything. Like so this is like giving me like a drive of some sort to at least do something and not like be wasting away like doing whatever. So yeah, so like my next steps are basically the other reason for the GoFundMe is my doctors are trying to find a clinical trial for me on the on the East Coast or in the DC area. So that would be for like, you know, housing and stuff, depending how long I have to move for. So, cause it could be in, you know, Boston, it could be DC, it could be New York. So we'll see. And then after that, if they can't find a trial, then there's a pill I can take. But in the meantime, I will say that the cannabis has helped me a lot. So if it wasn't for that, I'd probably be in a lot worse place right now.
Yeah, sending so much love and positivity out to you, Arabella. And it is no charity. I think what people have to understand, artists sacrifices their whole life to make art and really brighten up other people's days, with just so much worth more than any kind of like job or money or things that I think people do they forget about. So never feel
I've been
like
able
that,
to do this full time, luckily, like since I moved to Cleveland. So yeah, and like that's the thing. It's like I really don't know how to do anything else. I wouldn't know how to do anything else, you know. So
because I feel like your heart and soul is like within that, you know, around that, and has to be needed in that in this world we live in right now. So yeah, no, just much love to everything you're doing. Like I know we've been in art and music and all of this for, you know, at least me 20 years, and I most of it a little longer. But I know everything you're doing is a prime example of like what people should be doing, honestly. Like creating the art, expanding the boundaries of what an artist is. Yeah, delving into different art forms, understand that, teaching people what that means, bringing them onto this space so that they do have a legacy, right? So I think you still have a lot of purpose here, honestly, to help a lot of people. So I hope that carries with you forward, and just sending a lot of love and positive vibrations, really.
Thank you. No, it's been interesting too, like just seeing like I can now tell what's good glitch art and what's not. I can tell what's good pixel art, what's not, what's good AI and what's not. So like it's funny seeing people like argue that that's not art, and I'm like, well, no, it is. It's been around for a while, you know. So
yeah, and it's interesting to see it keep growing, and I'm so glad that all of us get to participate in it, and I'm so glad that you came here to be with us, and share your story. I can't wait to keep in touch with you. I can't wait to see what happens in New York. Hopefully we can have you back on the show sometime for like an update. And I mean, like, you're literally welcome anytime you want to come. And I, you know, we'd like to to wrap up the episodes. We kind of leave people with some closing thoughts. And so we can do like a roundtable vibe here, and everybody can say their last few words. But I'll kick it off by just saying, again, thank you so much for hanging out. Karthik, thank you so much for being here too, man, and doing what you do. I'm so excited about this show. I'm so excited that we can like have you here and you can bring your energy here. And I'll just echo some more thanks for like doing what you're doing, fighting through all those hard days, like, and still like just sharing with us, like even when it feels hard to share. You know I'm following you on Twitter. I love your updates. I love all the art you do. I love your like sense of humor and everything. So I just want to say thank you. Thank you for coming. Thank you for inspiring us. And thank you for fighting the good fight.
Oh man, thanks.
Yeah, thank you for coming here. Like I said, sending love and positive vibrations. I appreciate everything you're doing just as an artist and just for the people around you, and just spending time with us just to talk and vibe. I know we talked about that before, and I just feel great when I'm talking with real artists that are just down to earth and just trying to do something right in this world. So just sending you that much love and vibrations. I'll keep on saying it.
Oh, thank you guys so much. And yeah, thanks for letting me have a platform here to, you know, blab about art stuff and NFT stuff and, you know, grievances and things. And yeah.
Well, hopefully we sold some NFTs for you too here on the air. And if not, hey, there's still some people in here hanging out. It's not too late to go buy some NFTs. Yeah,
so you might get some real art too. Yeah, and thanks for like just letting me vent and, you know, giving me something to look forward to. And yeah, but the space has been just so amazing too, with people like us being able to find each other. And I truly did not think like anything good would have come out of the pandemic and stuff. And I feel like this has. And yeah, thanks so much for having me.
Of course. Thank you. It feels really good. Yeah. So a couple quick ones before we get off the air. We want to remind everyone that all the links are in the description below on YouTube. If you're watching now, if you're watching later, join Arabella's community. You can follow her on Twitter, like everything that you saw on the screen. You can buy NFTs, you can buy the book, you can donate to the GoFundMe, whatever. We really appreciate it. And as always, we appreciate your support too here. So please don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell so you know when we're live doing interviews or putting out new videos. And if you're watching on Twitter, please don't forget to like the post, retweet it, follow us on Twitter, follow Arabella on Twitter, like and retweet every single thing that she puts out. Click the notification bell on hers. You won't mind. Trust me, I did it. And I love all these posts that I get to see every day. We appreciate you guys so much. We'll see you first thing tomorrow morning for some news. Karthik's going to update us on what's popping at Consensus and Decentral Festival conference thing going on in Austin right now. And then we'll be talking about art in the afternoon. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. We'll see you next time.